Most website owners do the mistake that they publish content, but then they don't optimize it. And I can tell you from my own experience that when you create a new piece of content, that you should always take care of optimizing it over and over again, because this process increases the probability that you're going to rank for one of your focus keywords. And to give you an example, here we can see performance for a single query filtered on a single page from the last 16 months. And as you can see, in the beginning, I was not ranking at all, but I still kept optimizing it. And after a while, I jumped into the first page in Google and I'm still there for the last 12 months. Of course, the average position is going up and down, but this keyword is also highly competitive because the search intent is transactional. And as an example, when I see that I do have a drop in clicks, position, or also an impression, then I have an automation that takes care of alerting me. And the next step is always to improve the content based on real data from the Google Search Console. And that is also the reason why I've created this team of AI agents. And in total, we have a single manager. So this is kind of the brain or the person who knows exactly the process of optimizing content, also checking if everything is working fine. And before we have a look into the agent itself, as well as into the specific tools, we can quickly check how it works. So let's say I want to optimize this page because I know or I saw that the performance is worse than before. And since the setup is based on a chat system, so I can just talk to the SEO manager that I want to optimize something, I can simply add a simple prompt like this one. As an example, I want to rank with this URL, which is this page here in Florida. Even though it does not make sense to try to rank for this page in Florida, it's just to demonstrate that this agent that takes care of analyzing the SERP results can also fetch local data. And the focus keyword would be in this case N@N Google Search Console. And as soon as I enter the message, we can already see that the manager delegates different tasks to the SERP analyzer, technical analyst, performance analyst, and all of them do have a single task that you usually would do manually. And let's wait a few seconds until the content optimization is done. All agents are done and they passed the answer back to the SEO manager, which returned it to us. And we can see we have a performance audit. So this is based on the Google Search Console data. But we have also a technical audit that tells us the status code, if we do have any schema issues, if we have duplicate meta tags, and so forth. And the complete report is structured in a way that it tells us how's the current status, what is the recommendation, also why, which allows you to optimize your content or in general without a lot of knowledge about SEO. Next to the technical audit, we have also a list of keyword opportunities, and this data is not hallucinated, it's coming from our Google Search Console. And the same for the SERP insights. In the background, it's using SERP API, and we get also content optimization recommendations based on what we have currently and also what is recommended with different options. So you have an option like Automate Google Search Console with N@N integration tips, as well as 2 other options. And of course, also for the meta description, heading structure, and so forth. Let's say we validated the data and we want to get a report per email for ourselves, or you want to send it directly to a client, then you can simply tell the SEO manager to send it to any email address. So in my case, I'm using my own email address. And then the SEO manager takes care of passing the data to the mailing agent, which will also take care of converting the text into proper HTML so that the email looks also good. And we can see we also received the email, which looks like this. We have an action plan, our target URL, as well as our primary keyword, which we define in the beginning, and the chapters performance audit, technical audit, keyword opportunities, and so forth. As you can see, it's definitely a really comfortable way to analyze the performance of a single article and also get directly recommendations based on real data, because the separate agents have also the right tools. And that's also the next thing we will talk about. We will have a look into the tools and also how the agent works, or in general, how the complete template works, so that you are able to understand the complete process and that you're also able to customize the template for your own website. And the most important agent is the SEO manager, because this agent knows exactly what are the required steps to improve not only the content, but also to make sure the technical aspects are reviewed, like the technical audit. So in other words, this agent knows exactly when it needs to call the SERP analyzer, when it's time to optimize the content, but it has also access to different tools. So here we can see we have today and also subtract days, because this workflow is also connected to the Google Search Console. As an example, the performance analyst, but also the keyword analyst. They both have a tool, and this tool executes a sub workflow, which will retrieve data from your Google Search Console based on a time period. And without these 2 tools, it wouldn't be possible, because a large language model is not able to calculate something. Next, we have a think tool, followed by a simple memory so that you can also have a short conversation with the manager, and without a memory, it would just always forget what you said last. And of course, we have the chat model, which is kind of the brain. And for the orchestrator brain, I decided to use the GPT-4.1 model because if we compare these models with GPT-5 Mini, GPT-4.1, or any other model, then it's important to keep in mind that the SEO manager is responsible for delegating tasks, and we want to get a result as fast as possible. That means if we would use, for example, O3 or any model that is not really fast, this would slow down the complete process. So in case you decide to use another model, just keep in mind that if you pick a model that is quite slow, it will slow down the complete process. And since the agent is only responsible for delegating different tasks, it's definitely enough to use the GPT-4.1 model. I've also tested it with the GPT-4.1 mini model, and it also worked quite well. And to give you some better insights, we can click on executions because the last execution shows us exactly what the other SEO agents did. And we will start from the left to the right. On the left side, we have two different agents that are responsible for a technical and also for performance audit. And the performance analyst has a tool which allows this agent to get data directly from the Google Search Console, which we can see here. So as an example, the get base performance returns data for the previous and also for the current period. And if we jump into the sub workflow, then we can also see here, based on the executions, that it got data for the domain, start date, end date, and also for the URL, because we want to analyze a single page. And after that, a simple post request is done to retrieve data from the Google Search Console with the parameters that are passed from the agent. And we can also see it here. We have a JSON with the start and end date, but also directly a filter for a specific page so that we don't have to filter it afterwards in another node. And another part that is really important is that it's able to pass as a variable the domain, which means if you're working with multiple websites and you have access to the Google Search Console, then you can optimize all your websites with a single team of AI agents. And the next node is also quite simple. So it just passes the performance so that we have the current and also previous period. And in case you want to customize your agent with different data from your Google Search Console, I have also another template that is also available inside my community, so you can find it here. And this template has different blueprints that already have the right HTTP node as well as another node to pass the data. As an example, let's say you want to have an agent that is able to analyze your brand visibility. Then you could use these two nodes and convert them to a sub workflow. And the same applies for the other nodes. So if you want to have an agent that is able to analyze keyword cannibalization issues, then you could use this one. And the only thing that is important is that the agent is able to pass the date, because otherwise you will get no data or data from a time frame that is not important. The next agent is the technical analyst. So it has also a sub workflow, which use in the background the API from data for SEO. So we do here an on-page check that returns data for the page speed, the heading structure, if you're dealing with any schema issues, and a lot of other checks that help you if you have to do any technical optimization for this page. The next agent that is quite important is the keyword analyst, because this agent is again able to get data from the Google Search Console, but this time it's accurate keyword performance data. So if we have a look into the output, we can see for the specific keyword, the performance based on two different periods. So we have always a prefix with previous or current, which is quite important because this allows the content optimizer to understand which keywords need to be used for the content optimization. And the input is quite similar to the agent which we saw before. So we have the domain, URL, end date, and start date. And in order to not only rely on the data from the Google Search Console, we have also an agent that is able to analyze the organic results, related questions, but also AI overviews. And in order to get the data, it's again required to have an external tool that is attached to the agent. And in this case, we have here sub workflow, which used in the background from SERP API, which allows this agent to retrieve data from AI overviews, the organic results, related questions, and so forth. And I also mentioned in the beginning that this agent, or in general, this workflow is able to retrieve data based on location. So in our example, it should be Florida. And if we check the execution of the tool, then we can see that we should have here first in the node that contains the data that is passed from the agent, the right parameters. So for the country, it used US. the host language is English, and we have also here the location, which is Florida. And if we have a look into the HTTP call, then we can see that the data that we retrieved here is based on the location Florida, which is quite nice if you want to optimize your pages for local SEO. And the last important agent is the content optimizer. And this agent is called at the very last because the SEO manager takes care of executing first the performance analyst, technical analyst, the agent that takes care of analyzing the SERP results, and also the keyword analyst, because this data is important for the content optimizer. Otherwise, it does not know which data it should use for the optimization. And the last agent, which is not really an SEO agent because it's only responsible for converting the report into HTML and sending it via Gmail, is the mailing agent. So that was the agent which we triggered with the chat message, send it to, and then followed by the email. And that's also in a nutshell how these agents work together. And of course, the last important thing that we need to talk about is token usage. As you can see here, for sending the email, we have in total roughly 15,000 tokens, and for the optimization, we used 50,000 tokens. That's it for the video. In case you have any questions, feel free to add them to the comments, and we will hear each other in the next video.